receive greetings from the Prospect Peace Institute Africa, a think tank which is based in Nairobi, Kenya. I am its executive chairman, retired General Adan Mulata. I usually say, passionately patriotic and true citizen of Africa. It is an honor to have the opportunity to share with you some thoughts on issues affecting our great continent, Africa. Today's topic is the perils facing the African continent. Please welcome. Let me begin by saying that at the Prospect Peace Institute Africa, we conduct regular scans and analysis of the geopolitical, socio-economic, and development dynamics, including the patterns of conflict and wars as they happen across the continent of Africa, whether in states or across its different regions. As I look at Africa today, I'm a worried citizen of the continent. I'm in fear for the safety and security of its people, and I fear for the continent's future. This is why I have chosen the topic for this brief podcast as the perils facing the African continent. The choice of word peril with an S is deliberate. Peril means danger, threat, risks, hazards, and jeopardy. An entity, as is the case with Africa, that faces peril, it will mean it has no future. Means doom for the people, for the individual state, or group of states, or regions, or the continent at large, if nothing is done of significant nature. The use of the word peril further reflects the historic and protracted nature of the challenges facing states in Africa, but also anchors the sad realities of the threats, risks, and dangers that Africa has endured. Through a series of podcasts, you will be able to follow these sad realities. Things we must know, things we must understand if we are ever to come out of our current situation of uncertainty and doom. We've been told, for example, that Africa is rising, based on the fact that Africa has experienced uninterrupted growth for close to 2 decades prior to COVID-19. And Africa is home to rapidly growing, in their words, I think this is IMF, rapidly growing, expanding economies in the world. It is said that 4 of the 6 fastest growing economies are from the continent. The interesting thing is the first country being mentioned in that list is Libya, a country me and you know that it has not known peace since the killing of its former president, Muammar Gaddafi, in October 2011. Libya, which we are being told is rising, is basically a failed state. Second is the question of African Renaissance. This concept has been articulated by Sheikh Anta Diop for very many years, close to 7 decades. More recently, Thabo Mbeki in 1998-2000 brought this concept to the fore, that Africa, looking at its own history, will be able to follow and overcome some of those current challenges that we are experiencing or are confronting the continent. The third and final I want to mention is a question which has been asked by many players. Can Africa reclaim 21st century? So these 3 questions, when you look at our realities in the continent, such notions of Africa rising, Africa Renaissance, or Africa claiming the 21st century will all remain an illusion or a distant mirage. It will never feel it, will not get there. It's just a bad dream we're going to go through. Why is this the case? I'll just cite and name very few examples. Africa is home to 60% of the world's conflict. It is also said that 48% of terrorism-related deaths occur in Africa. One can even argue that some parts of Africa can be the epicenter of terrorist activities in the world. The average debt burden, which is killing most states in Africa, and they don't have funding for other development priorities, is the debt burden, which stands at about 68.6% of GDP as of 2023. Poverty levels in sub-Saharan Africa is equally alarming, over 41% on the average, and they say that of the 28 poorest countries in the world, 27 are from sub-Saharan Africa. This is just to name very few, a small percentage of the problems that we are facing. And as such circumstances, it is not possible to grow and prosper and enjoy the fruits that our continent can offer us, our heritage can offer us. In the next podcast, I will pick just one indicator, that is the conflict and war situation across Africa, using the analogy of a human body to explain the sad realities which I'm positing. Because we have to be honest with ourselves, we have to be truthful if we are to bring about meaningful change. So I'll look at the human body, that analogy, and see Africa, the continent of Africa, as a human body, where, for example, North Africa can be said to be the head, West Africa being the right arm, with the Sahel connecting, Horn of Africa being the left arm, and with the Sudan connecting. Middle section of the body is the Great Lakes region of Africa, including Central Africa. We look at all what's going on there. And finally, we look at the issue of South Africa, which is the legs. I'll be able to take you through all those, and we see how Africa is shaping if it were to be a human body, what is going on there. And we will then know if we are to understand those sad realities I'm talking about. Finally, I believe through such exposure and sharing of thoughts on the problem facing states and continents of Africa, the leadership across the continent, the elites and African academia coming together, looking at the problems, can bring about that necessary change, shift in direction, chart a path that will guide us the right direction, not the current one which is taking us to doom, or what can be termed as an unnatural death for the continent of Africa. After moving, for whatever reason, in the wrong direction for the last 1,000 years, for Africa, it's not about changing direction from the main direction you are going left or right, but it will require a total about turn so that we can now chart our own way of getting through the challenges that we have. It's only through such a journey that we can have an Africa where the resources, the heritage of our people can be used for the welfare of our own people, for the prosperity of our people, and most importantly, strong states, strong continent. Then we'll be on the path to reclaim the 21st century. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.